Back on the campaign trail, by the way, we have another poll out with more bad numbers, you could say, potentially here for President Biden's reelection efforts. This is from Bloomberg and Morning Consult. The poll shows the president trailing former President Donald Trump in 7 swing states. Now, Trump's lead is within the margin of error in Arizona, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, but his lead is larger in Georgia and North Carolina. But look at the screen there, bottom of the screen. Plus, 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 plus in the 7 states that matter. You concerned?
No.
Come on.
You got a lot of work to do. No, listen.
You're concerned. You can say
it. No, I'm not. Because these polls don't mean anything this far out. Yeah, you can talk about trend lines and stuff like that, but we're going to beat the hell out of Donald Trump again with $1 billion worth of media campaigns. We're going to remind him of his 4 years in office before the American people. There's 40% of Americans that love Joe Biden. There's 40% of Americans that love Donald Trump. The 20% is who we're after, and we're gonna win those folks back to our side.
You can't possibly be unconcerned.
No,
like Republicans, you look at that.
We had the best when people vote, we win. We had the best midterms of any election since FDR, right? We just won on all these abortion issues as we were talking about. So that's going to be the race this cycle.
Tell me what you see.
I actually am with Kevin.
Oh, okay. All right. Am I wrong? Am I being too hard on Kevin here?
So the Democrats right now are boosting Trump, right? They are kind of going after DeSantis, but they want Trump to be their opponent in the general. So Trump hasn't really taken it on the chin from the big dollar Democrat machine that's out there. Also, the Democrats have built out a vote collecting just infrastructure that the Republicans don't have. So, you know, if I'm a Democrat, I'm concerned, especially because Biden only won by 44,000 votes in a few swing states, right? So the margin is this thin to begin with.
The margin is like if there's bad weather in a state on voting day, like it could tip
county.
No, the margin was closer in 2016, honestly, when Trump beat Hillary.
What do you see when you look at that?
I think Democrats should be alarmed by those numbers.
Okay.
You look at each and every one of those battleground states, particularly Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. Those are states that we won in 2016, lost in 2020. You see Trump's advantage. I think that should be a huge concern to Democrats. But I think what we're missing here, Blake, is I still think that the big story for 2024 could be the third party. And the third party candidates, I think, hurt Biden the most because Trump's support is so polarized, his people are not going to leave him. And if you take squish moderate Republicans who are concerned about Trump, who voted Biden last time, and give them other options, they're not going to go to Biden. That, I think, is the biggest weakness of the third party.
You know, it's interesting because I know you're shaking your head, but the Wall Street Journal poll that came out, I don't know, what was that, over the weekend or something? When you mixed in 5 total candidates, Amisha, Donald Trump's lead went up, to Mark's point.
The biggest worry I think the Democrats are going to have isn't necessarily what was just pulled there, because I agree with Kevin. We're way too far out for that type of prognosis. The biggest worry is going to be, because I think that this is going to be a really tight race, it is going to be making sure that younger voters and black voters show up in the places that he needs them the most. Because right now, there isn't a lot of strength. There aren't a lot of excited younger voters about this race. And black voters are, quite frankly, upset. And I think that there's got to be a lot more groundwork done between now and November to ensure that the core base shows up.
You say groundwork. What does that look like?
Showcasing what you've done for those communities, showcasing what another 4 years of a Biden-Harris administration would look like for the communities that have been hurt the most. I think that the student debt relief not happening really pissed off a lot of the younger voters. But in addition to that, we're seeing the decisions that, quite frankly, are happening with the war in Israel that are making a lot of young voters
Biden
upset.
has done too little on student loans. Bloomberg poll, Gen Z says 43% voters, 27% overall. Can we show before we go? Graphic from the Hill, or headline from the Hill. Trump on Pence's 2024 presidential race. He should endorse me. Mark, you're like the unofficial head of Pence World.
I claim no such title.
You were the chief of staff to the former vice president. That's the fair title. Should he endorse? Should Mike Pence endorse Donald Trump?
I don't think President Trump should be holding his breath for that.
Shouldn't be holding his breath.
Should not be.
So you don't think it happens?
I certainly would not anticipate any endorsements from him anytime soon.
You can only call for the hanging of someone so many times.
Is that why, like, how personal this is?
I think it's more than personal, honestly, Blake. I think the reality is that your oath to the Constitution is one of your most sacred oaths you take. It's the same oath that our men and women who serve in uniform take. If you violate that oath and you call on your vice president to violate that oath, I think that's a pretty fundamental difference.
Okay. We'll talk college football next. I know you want to talk about that. Thank you for watching, and make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.